The following is a presentation of the Eagles Sports Network.
Alongside Carson-Newman women's golf coach Suzanne Strudwick, I'm Danielle Whaley, and this is the Eagles Sports Network. Coach Strudwick has released the 2021 spring schedule for her team, and finally we're getting to talk about a schedule. We're usually at this point we're looking back at the fall, looking forward to the spring, but you do have 5 events that you're looking forward to in the spring. But looking back at this fall, 2020 has been a weird year for everybody, especially in sports. But how crucial has this time of inter-squad play been for your team?
Yeah, it's been huge. We put together a match play event for the girls to play inter-squad, which was very successful, kept them motivated, kept them going. And it gave our practices some purpose through the season, which is what you need. Keep them competitive, even if it's amongst themselves. Then we did a team Ryder Cup style event with the boys team, which was fantastic. And we teamed one of the girls with one of the boys. They played together, and it worked out that we had enough internationals and American domestic players to pair them up that way. And we one blue team, one orange. I was the orange, unfortunately. The blue team won. So good on you, Coach Wiley. But hopefully it was so successful, and the kids really enjoyed it, that we've said we need to do that again. Whether we'll have the time in the spring or not, I'm not sure, but definitely next fall, hopefully, we'll do it. We did it over 2 days, and it was fantastic. Yeah.
In the spring schedule that you have, it's pretty much run-of-the-mill that you would see for the spring. You do have 5 events. What was kind of the mindset that you had when building this schedule and trying to find where you could piece in tournaments?
Well, there's so many different aspects to it. Unfortunately, we're still having to think about COVID and the issues with that. I would have typically gone down to Florida. We normally play at least 2 or 3 events in Florida. We're not doing that. The amount of travel it takes, we've flown before, and I just don't want to take that risk. So we're staying more regional. We're lucky that we don't have the restriction of just conference only, but I am able to go a little bit more regionally. And so the first event, even though it's run by a conference team, it's outside of our conference map, we're going back to Hilton Head to the Robert Trent Jones course. So it's a tough one to start. It's probably the toughest course and conditions the team will have. But we've got a good record there, and I think it gives the girls some purpose of continuing to practice through the winter, knowing that that's coming up. It's very similar to in the fall when we typically go and play Indianapolis, which is, again, our toughest competition each year. Hopefully that'll be on the schedule for 2021. But this one will keep the girls, in their minds as to what's coming up, the first event. So we're excited about that one again.
And you talk about not getting to have those trips to Florida that you would like, but starting the first 2 events in South Carolina, kind of going away from what you're going to see the back half of the schedule where you're going to be in East Tennessee the whole time. How crucial is it to get that play in a different state where you can really see different types of courses?
Yeah, and different teams.
Exactly.
So the second one is going to be brand new. Limestone are new in our conference. It's a new event, but they're a top 20 team in the country. So to be invited to their event, to play that as our second event, there's already Lee's going, Wingate's going, so already there are 3 teams in the top 20. So for ranking purposes, when we have those head-to-heads, that'll do us very well, having that opportunity to compete. Very similar to what Indianapolis, that event, does for us in the ranking, because so many top 20 teams are competing in that event. So the fact that the next 3 events are a little bit more closer to home, that should set us up, those first 2, for a good regional position.
In events 3 and 4, I feel like, saying close to home is a bit of an understatement, because you get to take those tournaments at the home course in Sevierville. The Bobby Nichols Intercollegiate, obviously hosted by Tennessee Tech, and then hosting your own event for the first time since, I want to say, 2015 or 2016. How important is it to have those huge events at home where you are bringing in other competitions?
Well, Tennessee Tech's event has always been a spotlight for us and a showcase, because we're playing predominantly against D1 schools. The guys play in it, so it's a good event for us as a school, for Carson-Newman to be showcased, and that we can compete on that level and do very well. We've played since we've been playing in it. We haven't finished out of the top 7. In fact, we've had a 3rd and a 4th, and Elizabeth England has won the individual. The boys have been the same on their side. So I think, if we keep getting invited, we'll keep going. It's that kind of event. Now, hosting my own event, I realized that last week in March, first week in April, there wasn't really anything on the schedule. Our conference event is a week later, so it would have been too much of a gap, middle of March to the conference event. It would have been almost 4 weeks off. That's too long to not be competing. So that's why I chose to go ahead and put in an event. It's a one-day, 36 holes, so teams can come in the day before, play a practice round. Luckily for most teams, it's a course that they're familiar with, the river, and so they'll probably just come in for one practice round and then 36 holes. So that's why we're calling it the shootout. So the Smoky Mountain Shootout. So with Sevierville Golf Club, we're excited for that. I know they're excited to host again and partner with us, with Carson-Newman and the golf teams. That relationship is getting closer and closer all the time. And so we're excited about that growing that partnership. Yeah.
It feels a little bit like deja vu to bring up the SAC championship again. It's going to be happening in Tazewell. We're going to take another shot at that, see if we can have that tournament actually happen. But your team has played up in Tazewell before. How does having that experience at that course help looking ahead at the conference tournament where you really want to try to get your best showing?
Yeah, we had, seems so long ago now, the fall preview back in 2019, anticipating the conference in 2020. That didn't happen. We've gone up, so we've played an event on that course. We've gone up and prepared with practice rounds in spring of 2020. And then we actually went up in the fall this year to do a scrummage with LMU, which we had, for the 4 scores, we had our lowest score we had 296, which was about 10 shots less than with the team I had for conference in the spring. So with the new additions, the new talent that we have, I have got a glimpse of where we're going to be for the spring. And, it's really exciting. It's to have one of our lowest scores. I know it was a scrimmage, but the girls, that was their first competition as a team, and they took it really seriously. We played off the same tee boxes that we're going to face in conference, and we had some really good low scoring. So I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited to go back there.
One thing I feel like we've talked about every year, but it's especially important this year, is the depth that you find with the team, especially in the spring. With the spring really being the only time that the girls are going to see playing for this season, how important is it to really showcase that depth and get those competitions in for the starting 5?
Well, you really want your fall competition season to bring the cream to the crop, and then that becomes your team for the spring. Obviously, we haven't really had that benefit. So teams and coaches have been scrambling to see who those players are. With the type of fall that we made, where we did have competition mostly every week amongst ourselves, I was able to pick the sort of 7, 8 girls out of the 14 that are really going to be the team. And for me, going into the spring, even because you're going to have injuries, you're going to have things like that. So to have about 8 players that you can pick on and feel very confident in week out is great. I don't like only having 5 or 6. What happens then they get complacent because they know there's really nobody else behind them. So we're going to stay competitive throughout the spring. There's going to be lineup adjustments because of that, and that's what I'm excited for. It's going to be highly competitive, and that, as a coach, that's all you can ask.
It's nice to have a season to finally look forward to, even if it is a little bit different than what we're used to seeing. But Coach, thank you so much for the time and breaking down the schedule ahead.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Glad to be back.
Absolutely. She is Coach Suzanne Strudwick. I'm Danielle Whaley, and this is the Eagle Sports Network.